How many Stooges were there? There were six in all. 6 Stooges appeared over the act's run, with only 3 active at any given time. Their run lasted about 50 years. Moe Howard and Larry Fine were mainstays throughout the comedy act's nearly 50-year run, and the third Stooge was played in order of appearance. Shemp Howard, Curly Howard, then Shemp Howard again after Curly passed away, Joe Besser, and Curly Joe Derita. The first Stooge I'd like to mention, and most people consider him the leader of the Three Stooges, Moe Howard. His real name was Moses Harry Harwitz. He was born June 19, 1897. He died May 4th, 1975. He was 77 years old. The cause of his death was lung cancer, and he was a Three Stooge from 1922 to 1970. And again, everyone looked at Moe as the leader and the tough guy of the Three Stooges that did most of the hitting. Larry Fine. His nickname, Porcupine, Curly Q. He was the guy with the long hair, the curly hair, the crazy hair. His real name, Louis Feinberg. And he actually was born in Philadelphia, or at least he grew up in the Philadelphia area. He was born October 5th, 1902. He died January 24, 1975, and he was 72 years old. And his cause of death, stroke. He was a Stooge from 1925 to 1970. I think that would make him the second to Moe as being a Stooge for the longest period of time. I remember when I was a little boy seeing Larry on television in a wheelchair after his stroke. It was very sad, but his character was a very, very integral part of the Three Stooges, and without him, the Stooges would not be the. Now we have Shemp Howard, and actually Shemp was brother to Moe Howard. His real name, Samuel Harwitz, same as Moe, same last name, Harwitz. He was born March 11, 1895. He was Moe's older brother. He died November 22, 1955. That was the age I was born, actually, and he was 60 years old. The cause of his death, heart attack. Now, he started out as one of the original Stooges in 1922 to 1932. Then he went off on his own film career. Curly took over after Curly died. Shemp was a Stooge from 1946 to 1955. Most people consider this Stooge as the third Stooge, but he actually came in after Shemp, so he actually is the fourth. He's the fourth in line to become one of the Three Stooges, and that is the beloved Curly Howard. I would say he is the Stooge that is most recognizable, probably other than Moe, and beloved by so many people. And he was brother to Moe and Shemp. That's Curly Howard. His real name was Jerome Lester Harwitz. He was born October 22, 1903, and he died January 18, 1952. He was only 48 years old. My understanding, he lived a very exuberant lifestyle. He liked to party, drink, wine, women, and song, all that kind of stuff that is really not too good for your health. And they said that his cause of death was a cerebral hemorrhage. And he was a Stooge from 1932 to 1946. The fifth Stooge, Joe Besser. Joe Besser, he was born August 12, 1907. He died March 1st, 1988. He was 80 years old. Cause of his death, heart failure. He was a plump guy, overweight. Of course, that always adds to a comedian's advantage, I think, in some way or another. But he actually played in a lot of early film. He was, in a lot of comedy shorts, a lot of comedy film. And some of them, let's see, there are a couple major shows that he appeared in. There were a couple of major movies that he appeared in with Abbott and Costello, things like that, comedic things. And, he had kind of a character move that he would do with his hand, and he'd bend his wrist back and kind of try to hit Moe and Larry. He was funny in his own way, but of course, Curly and Shemp, I thought, were much better. He was a Stooge for only 2 years, 1956 to 1958. Stooge number 6, Curly Joe Derita. His real name, Joseph Wardell, born July 12, 1909. He died July 3rd, 1993. He was 83 years old. The cause of his death was pneumonia. And he was a Stooge for quite a long time. I'm surprised to see this. He was a Stooge from 1958 to 1970. And I'm not too familiar with this particular Stooge, Joe Derita. I remember him, when I was a child, seeing him in the Three Stooges cartoons that they came out with. There was a series of Three Stooges cartoons, and he was the guy with the, of course he was chubby, and he had this very predominant cleft chin that kind of, besides his bald head, were trademark features of his. He was pretty funny. He was kind of closer to the original Curly, I think, but he was a sixth Stooge, and again, his years went from 1958 to 19. So there you have it. There were 6 actors that played the Three Stooges. They lasted about 50 years. One of the longest lasting, if not the longest lasting comedy acts that I'm familiar with. I can't think of anyone else that has been around any longer. And they're still making people laugh. They started out on the vaudeville circuit. Moe was the driving force. He was kind of the leader. The real original guy, Healy was his last name. I won't get into that topic because we all think of the Three Stooges as Moe, Larry, Curly, Shemp, and then there's Joe Besser and Joe Derita. And they are still entertaining people. They're still making people laugh. We are so fortunate to have had them in our lives, entertaining us, bringing us laughter for so many years. Thank you very much, the Three Stooges, and thanks for listening. How many Stooges were there? There were 6. 6 in all. 6 Stooges appeared over the act's run, with only 3 active at any given time. Their run lasted about 50 years. Moe Howard and Larry Fine were mainstays throughout the comedy act's nearly 50-year run, and the third Stooge was played in order of appearance. Shemp Howard, Curly Howard, then Shemp Howard again after Curly passed away, Joe Besser, and Curly Joe Derita. The first Stooge I'd like to mention, and most people considered him the leader of the Three Stooges, Moe Howard. His real name was Moses Harry Harwitz. He was born June 19, 1897. He died May 4th, 1975. He was 77 years old. The cause of his death was lung cancer, and he was a Three Stooge from 1922 to 1970. And again, everyone looked at Moe as the leader and the tough guy of the Three Stooges that did most of the